Okay, so follow me. Why don't we make a more modern black powder revolver? And I don't mean like the Ruger Old Army. I mean like, why not rethink the bitch from the ground up? Quite a bit has changed. I put it to you that the United States government has made the law as such that black powder revolvers are outside of the law. This is the area of guns I would like to explore. And I pretty much keep coming to that every day because I play with that fucking black powder revolver every day. And it with technology from the 18 fucking 50s is a pretty capable gun. Here are my thoughts. You would have to make it 100% part for part interchangeable. So that way you could have drop in cylinders and you could sell cylinders like magazines. I have no idea how. Well, actually, I do have an idea of how. So, the fucking Schofield Webley mechanism is a beautiful thing. You design something a la that with a break top frame revolver where you can swap cylinders. So, you're carrying cylinders instead of speed loaders. And you make it to where this thing is designed to be a black powder revolver. That's what it does. However, it is designed to use cylinders as magazines, pre-charged, and for priming, I'm thinking shotgun primers. I think there's no reason not to. I think they're way more reliable ignition source than any of the other caps that are available. One of my main issues with black powder revolvers is caps coming off of the nipples. If you have 209 shotgun primers stuck into a fucking thing, they you don't have to worry about that anymore. That's my pitch to you. You design it to where that was no longer an issue as well. Sure, there's some sort of a way to hold a 209 primer in there. And as far as powder charges and shit, well, this is the future, boys. Black powder, we could have really, really hot loads. The only limiting factor on black powder technology back in the day was metallurgy. So I guess you're gonna have to figure out what the cheapest way to make one of them there cylinders is. Because basically the cost of that thing is going to determine the success or failure of this little endeavor, right? So that's gonna limit your power more than anything. Because if it's super fucking expensive, which if it's made of fucking unobtainium and it has to be hard as nails and whatever to fucking take the pressure, then yeah, it's I think we could safely assume that you could make these cylinders out of pretty much any tool steel. Something cheap. I guess my thought with this revolver is okay. So they made black powder revolvers, not guns. Let's bend the fuck out of that law. And I think this like Webley design with a break top, quick change cylinders, 209 primers, and then for capacity's sake, I don't know how I would do it. Basically, the go-to would be 644 caliber slugs, right? There's a lot of options. And if you are designing a thing from the ground up, you could have projectiles designed and made for it too. And like this is part of the, if we can get it to be more powerful, let's get it to be more powerful. Like if we can load 50 or 60 grains of black powder on top of a fucking, you know, 250 grain fucking lead ball, I I would like that. That's approaching, you know, horse pistol. That's horse pistol again. Which, if you don't know what I'm talking about, the guns the Outlaw Josie Wales shot are Colt Walkers. Colt Walkers were the most powerful handgun made until the 357 Magnum was made in 1935. Horse pistols. Okay, they were not made to shoot people. They were made to put down fucking horses. They also happen to do a really, really good job on people. This is what I would like to make. You know, you have to make this to where it was light and you carry them in a pair and they can be quickly reloaded. Like what I'm talking about right here would create a new culture in the Southwest of people open carrying fucking black powder revolvers. Betcha. Jesus, cat. Oh, sorry. Just jumped into the middle of our shit. It would be cool to increase the capacity, but hear me out. Increasing the capacity is going to make them bigger. And there's a point of diminishing returns, right? Oh, it would be badass to see everybody in like Texas and Arizona just walking around with two of these on their hips and a belt of fucking uh, what are they called? Cylinders. This is also part of the thing is you'd have to make it to where the cylinders didn't weigh a fuck ton. But if you figure that like you'd carry a revolver and maybe a dual cylinder pouch, so you'd have like 18 shots, and we'd have this gun set up to where first off it would be double single action. Um, Second off, uh, it would be set up to where you could carry it fully loaded. Like on my current black powder revolver, one of the things I like about it is the fact that I can put the hammer between cylinders and carry it fully loaded. I think making it double action, single action is a no brainer, especially if you're going to start copying the Webley a little bit to get that brake top mechanism. Because like the Webley has, it has advantages for copying. Basically, it's kind of a primitive caveman version of that same kind of a thing. And the whole reason that people stopped using brake tops was because they didn't survive the era of smokeless powder. Black powder was, weak enough that it didn't destroy the fucking mechanisms, whereas smokeless very rapidly did, apparently. I think between making them in modern methodologies and modern technologies and modern materials, and the fact that these are going to be fucking muzzle loading black powder guns, kind of scratches all them itches. It makes that break top thing a lot more interesting, especially if you've concluded that you are not going to reload cylinders on the pistol, that you're going to have like a loading station at home or some shit for these things. Maybe you'll have some sort of a way to reload them in field. We'll come up with that, but like, I'm not going to have a provision for loading the pistol on the pistol at all. I think it's extra weight on your gun. On that old Colt, I think it makes sense, and maybe we could make a version down the road. But like, if you did that, it would essentially be the Ruger Old Army. I'd like to play with other shit with this though, because like I think you could do like an electric ignition system, black powder revolver. Like there's a bunch of stuff with this where like they have left this door open for completely unregulated firearms. That yo ho heave ho, bitch. Pirate's life for me. Like, color me interested. I at least want to like thought experiment. The other thing I would love to do is I know a couple of people that now that's much more difficult to contact those people now that I lost my fucking Instagram, but I know people that might be interested in this idea. Fellow pirates that see where the winds are blowing. It may be advantageous to have fucking guns that you can wear openly that are, you know, not regulated by their laws. It would also just be dope to have a fucking biker gang of people with these guns. Like, this is what we do. We go get, like, I don't know, 1980s Japanese motorcycles and make them look like Mad Max. And we wear our fucking dual black powder revolver rigs with like a full belt of fucking extra cylinders, looking like Django Fett or some shit. And it's just my weird dream. I think Kossoff is probably still listening at this point. I don't know anyone else who would be, but what do you think, man? I like the idea of modernizing some of this shit. And I'd have to get with someone that could do computer shit. Especially like it's just somebody that could do CAD and had a fucking like ghost gunner. We could play. Like we could definitely play with designs. It would be dope to try that shit. Well, the other thing is like there's fucking FFLs and shit machine shops that would maybe even make some shit for me. Like this is a black powder gun. Uh, Hate to do that though. I kind of want to make a pair of these and like a dozen cylinders and just like sell all the rest of my guns and like this is what I'm rocking. You have to make them take a grip. Like you have to pick a grip. But with them being a double action revolver, like the world's your fucking oyster, really. What do you like? Would be dope just to make them fucking take Webley grips. But expensive and pointless. For a double action revolver, I'd want a Smith and Wesson grip, probably. This thing would be real interesting. And honestly, this is one of those like some gun company should hire me and let's just do this. Like I have kind of the vision in my head of what I want. And I need to like write this up, kind of. And like the people that should do this, in my opinion, are Ruger. Could you imagine with the way Ruger makes things, they could make this cost effective. Now, I don't know if Ruger should make the only version of it though, because like it would be dope to have like the same gun made by a couple different people. Have Ruger make the budget bitch version, and then have Beretta or somebody make the nice one. They could even be slightly different guns. The really cool idea to me is make it electrically ignited, especially like I don't know if these would be legal in Europe. In America, they would probably not even be guns. In Europe, I don't know. But if they're legal in Europe and they are what I'm describing, Jesus Christ, would you kill that market? You would murder the fuck out of that market with those things. Because basically, there's a whole bunch of people that shoot Colt revolvers as a hobby in Europe because they can't get X, Y, or Z gun. What can they get? Well, they can get a Colt revolver and a single shot black powder rifle. And if those are my options, I think I would take up the hobby of Colt revolver shooting too. And there's a whole bunch of felons here in the US. There's a whole bunch of fucking weirdos like me that just think this shit's cool. Like, I think I'm going to send this video to Mike Bellevue. See what he thinks. I really enjoy that dude's channel. If you've not watched his shit, I would love to hear his response to this video and like what he would add to it. Because like from my perspective, there's things that I want that I don't have on my current fucking black powder revolver, which for those not in the know is a Colt clone by Pieta. It's a Colt U.S. Marshal, 1851 Navy and 44 caliber. So it's a lot of shit. But at the same time, it's a modern revolver that has this foot way back in the past because it like that's how you have to do it. And like this is where Mike Bellevue would probably be saying, well, there's some good reasons for that, and there is. I've watched many of his videos and I get that, but I think it's time that the black powder revolver shooting community try taking a fucking lesson from the hackers and shit. Like, we have all of this new technology to make shit at home. Maybe it's time to start experimenting on designs that can now be made that, could not have been previously or would have been extremely difficult. Because if you can, make the design to make this shit in like a ghost gunner, dude, there'd be a whole bunch of people who want to play with it, I would guess. But it would be even cooler to start a company selling this shit, you know? Because really, how much would it cost to make a black powder revolver? Especially if you're doing it CNC and you'd have to have really tight tolerances. I don't know. There's a lot of unknowns there. This would be where, like, maybe the thing to do would be to design this gun and then have the Italians make it. Be interesting. I really like Pieta and Uberti and all them. Like, they make good guns. There's no reason to cut them out of the loop, really. You know, if they can make the fucking guns at a price point that everyone will buy. Not to mention, they kind of have this old world flair that I'm guessing these guns would still have. Uh, I don't like the tricky part would be if you do have this as a hinge revolver with swap out cylinders and whatever, and you load it off of it and yada yada yada. You'd have to make damn sure that you couldn't convert it to be a fucking, 45 auto pretty easy. 'Cause, while cool, I think that would run into a lot of legal hassles. And this is kind of why I'm guessing most black powder guns in the US stick to old designs. Like Ruger's design was very clearly black powder only. So you would have to, I think, follow Ruger's idea, where like it's not old timey, but there's things about it that make it distinctly not fucking a modern gun. I don't know what that would be. I think the fact that it would be a big metal revolver probably would get us points. Because, like, that's exactly how I would build them. Like, there's some places on it where you could go, oh, well, why not swap out this material? But, like, in reality, it's a black powder revolver. Sorry. It needs to be mostly metal, you know? Well, that's kind of my thoughts on that. Tell me what you guys think. Would you be interested in a modern black powder revolver such as I described? And Mike Bellevue, if you've watched this far or watched it all, I'd be very curious to hear what you think too. I'm definitely going to send this to him. I'll see you guys later.